What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we need to talk about CEI stock because this stock has actually blown up today, right? It's up over 40%. We're going to talk about why it's up over 40% and what I think about the stock looking into the future. So let's take a look at the chart first of all, and you can see that we are up kind of massively in after hours and pre-market trading. Even during the day, we've moved up a little bit from the market open. Now, there is a key reason for this, right? There is a big catalyst that actually drove up this massive rally in after hours and regained a lot of the losses that we experienced during the past couple hours of the market being open yesterday. And it is honestly, it's a good thing that happened for the company. Now, what I think about this is, while we haven't risen that much compared to where we were yesterday, at our highs of yesterday, we're actually below the highs of yesterday, right? We were at a $1.33 yesterday at our highs, and now we are at a $1.29. So we're still not really rising that much off of this news. Obviously, we got shot off of the $1.40 resistance level. If you look at the long term, you can see that that has formed itself as a resistance level ever since we got shot through it on this horrific news from Kerrisdale Capital and this really big short attack on this stock, right? This stock was doing incredibly well, and I was actually fairly bullish on it before we just saw this massive downwards momentum in basically the form of a short attack. A bunch of shorts just piled into this thing very early on in the trading day, right? They shot this thing down as Kerrisdale Capital released their short report, which you can see right here. I have it pulled up. Their tweet, first of all, they said, we're short CEI. I've obviously covered this tweet and their report in other videos, so I'll make this very brief. But they said, we're short CEI, report available here, and I've already read this part several times, so I won't cover that. But basically, they released this report, and one of the key parts of this report, why they were explaining this company was bad, was this chart right here, explaining how CEI's share count had been rising and rising, and how oftentimes they would do reverse stock splits to kind of mask the fact that their share count was rising and the fact that the shares were becoming less and less valuable, right? They would actually reverse stock split and take two shares, turn them into one, or maybe even do that at a greater ratio depending on which split we're talking about, and basically aid in diluting the shareholder, right? Because if you're holding shares of this company, if you look back in the past, you can actually see 5 years ago, accounting for all the reverse stock splits, this thing was trading at $1,513,750 per share if you account for all of those reverse stock splits, right? And that's basically because, obviously it wasn't actually trading at that price way back then, but so many times they've combined shares and added the prices together that it's added into this monstrosity of a stock that was trading for over $1.5 million. Now, obviously, this company has had some massive dilution issues, and Kerrisdale Capital is right about that, right? You can see that at one point, if you were just holding, $1.5 million worth of shares at one point in this company's past, about 5 years ago, then it would now be worth $1.31. So you really have lost a lot of money in this company if you've stuck in it over the long term, and which is why I do not think that holding this stock over the long term is a good idea. Obviously, there are some trading opportunities, especially if you got in at the end of yesterday, you had the opportunity to make some money. But the reason that this stock is actually shooting up so much is because CEI released their Form 8K to the SEC just yesterday, right around when this thing started shooting up, and it actually has some pretty good news. I mean, it's not great news, right? It's actually just the opposite of bad news. They have no bad news in it, and basically that comes in the form of this last sentence here where, in this block, they talked a bit about the company's dilution and reverse stock splits that they've done in the past, and it says in this last sentence, the company is therefore not considering such a reverse stock split at this time. Now, obviously, this shouldn't really have that big of an effect on the short-term share price because I think this whole thing is ridiculous, right? This was obviously just a momentum play, and we were moving up quite a bit. And I think that Kerrisdale Capital's short report should not have had nearly as large of an impact as it did on the stock price because it was mostly a fundamental report that they released, and they were talking mostly about what the company had done wrong over the long term and all the stock splits that they'd done, and basically were just bashing the company's fundamentals, which it shouldn't have had that large of an effect because people were not buying this company because of the fundamentals, which is why I tend to believe that there were some coordinated efforts on short's parts to push this thing down. Now, in the near term, right, we have seen that we have kind of been leveling out at this between $1 and $1.40, right? We're kind of settling down in that area, right? Yesterday we broke through it a little bit, but have been shot back up on the news that they will not be doing a reverse stock split. So A lot of traders, have the potential, they realize, to be making some money in this. Obviously, if you bought near the end of the day yesterday, you're up 40%. I'm not saying that this stock can't be traded, but it is a stock that I would be very wary of holding over the long term. However, there is a lot of volatility associated with it. If you look, you can see that it is one of the most active, right under Shiba Inu coin on StockTwits. It's the number 2 talked about stock. Well, the number 1 talked about stock. The number 2 talked about asset. Shiba Inu is taking over with the massive rise that it's been experiencing over the past couple of days. But CEI is number 2, and it is up 43%, so that is kind of self-explanatory, right? They are gaining a lot on the day. Obviously, people are going to be talking about them on StockTwits, further increasing the reach and potentially increasing the amount of people who are getting back in, right? A lot of people are thinking that this could be a big bounce, that there might be a big bounce. I don't think many people think that they're getting back up to the previous highs after all this negative momentum that we experienced, but there is the potential that we bounce up maybe to 180, maybe to $2 before getting shot back down, in my opinion at least. And you can also see that on apewisdom.io, a site that tracks the most talked about stocks on Reddit and Wall Street Bets, you can see that Camber Energy, ticker symbol CEI, is down 9 spots. So it has lost a lot of momentum on Reddit and Wall Street Bets. We're down 64% mention-wise over the past 24 hours, down to 83 mentions and 367 upvotes. So it's not getting that much attention on Reddit now. It used to be one of the top couple of stocks, and I think that a lot of Reddit traders really got burnt on this one when they saw this massive drop and lost probably 50% of what they had invested in it and still have not had the opportunity to regain that, even if they had held. Then, at one point yesterday, it probably looked pretty horrific for them when this thing dropped below $1. My guess is a lot of people were probably selling around here because $1 was probably stop loss that a lot of people had. So it really isn't looking good for the Reddit community, right? They've likely lost a lot of money if they were invested in this thing, and that explains why it's not trending very highly on Reddit anymore, right? It's actually moving down. I don't expect to get too much more support from Reddit. I think that a lot of people are kind of fed up with this. But on Google, obviously, whenever a stock is up over 40%, you're going to see a rise in search volume. And that actually does aid with the algorithms, all right? The YouTube and Google search algorithms, it's more likely to recommend content related to the stock to other people who are just searching for stocks in general or penny stocks or stocks that are up if a bunch of people are searching for this stock specifically. So this search that I've put into Google Trends is for CEI stock, and you can see it is actually trending higher than it was yesterday, not as high as when we saw that massive dip, because obviously a ton of people were trying to figure out what the heck happened to cause this massive drop, and we're not trending as high as we were back then, but you can see that because we have been up 40% from end of day to now, that we are starting to trend a bit higher on Google Trends. Now, hold on just a second. Okay, so here we have the Ortex data. You can see that we have been moving up in short interest, right? Shorts are starting to get back into this thing. A lot of shorts ended up covering their position when this thing did drop over 50%. If you look back, a lot of shorts were likely covering around here, leading to a big spike up in price right after the drop. I believe if you look at the chart right here, you can see that on this day, when we were trending down, a lot of shorts did end up covering, right? We went from 54% short interest to 46% as a percentage of the free float. And that means that, a lot of shorts were able to exit their positions, likely the shorts that were shorting when this thing was, around $4 or $3. They were able to get out with quite a nice profit. Now, a lot of shorts are still in this thing. A lot of shorts were actually entering their positions. If you look, back when this thing was trading around $1, maybe $2, and they're looking to get a slightly larger profit than they have already, right? This thing is trading at 127, so they're looking for a little bit more profit probably before they begin covering their positions. Now, some shorts actually apparently think that this thing is going to drop a lot further. That's very possible. That's very likely, in my opinion, right? That over time this thing will continue dropping because, as you've seen in the past, there has been an overwhelmingly, if you look back at the past 3 years, an overwhelmingly bearish trend. Very short time periods have existed when this thing has bumped up a bit, but overall the trend has been massively downwards. And you can really see that, this thing is kind of just going to continue getting diluted, in my opinion, even though they said in their most recent SEC filing that the company is therefore not considering such a reverse stock split. They finished that sentence by saying, at this time. So it really doesn't mean that they're never considering a reverse stock split. And let me actually get myself out of the frame for a second so you guys can see that for yourself if you want. Let me zoom in a little bit on that. Yeah, the company is therefore not considering such a reverse stock split at this time. So In the long term, I think that they may end up going back to their old ways and having to do some kind of reverse stock split if they want to remain listed on the markets, right? Because just yesterday, they were trading below a dollar. And at a certain point, I believe you get delisted if you're trading below a dollar for too long a time frame. And if you don't end up trading above a dollar for, within a certain range of time. So that's actually big pressure for a lot of companies to do these reverse stock splits. And, the fact that just yesterday we were trading below a dollar, and that we had been, if you look back at the past 90 days, we've been trading below a dollar for a very long time. So it was very likely that this company would have to consider some kind of reverse stock split before this big pump up in price. Now, I think it's likely, possible situation, that this company is saying that they are not considering a reverse stock split, but that does not necessarily mean that they are not considering increasing their share count with convertible preferred stock, right? It's very possible that they're going to be considering some kind of capital raising activity, because they will, they are trading at a much higher valuation than they were just, even 90 days ago or even 180 days ago. They were trading around this level 180 days ago, right? But have been sinking ever since. So they're currently trading at a pretty decent level. I'm thinking that they're probably going to want to raise their stock price and get this thing boosted before they actually do a capital raising activity, but they might just have to take what they can get if traders aren't willing to pile into this stock and continue shooting it up. So basically, what I'm saying with CEI is, in my opinion, this stock over the long term, not a great hold, right? That's always been obvious, I think, to most people who are buying into this stock, especially if you look at the long term. This stock has just depreciated massively year over year. It's almost comical how much this stock has been dropping year over year. I don't think it's becoming a good buy now all of a sudden, right? However, over the short term, obviously there's some volatility that some traders can benefit off of. I think that if you were to trade this, you would have to watch the $1.40 level very closely, especially if you were looking to trade it to the upside, right? If we're able to see a sustained breakout of $1.40 and get back into this range that we had been trading in before the big pump up, it's very possible that we could see maybe a pump up to 180 before seeing some resistance. So there might be room for a nice swing from $1.40 to $1.80. We just have to watch that pretty closely, right? Obviously, as of today, we have been bounced off of $1.40 in a somewhat strong way, right? Not supremely strong, right? We're not just shooting down after getting bounced off $1.40, but it's not the most bullish thing to see. So that's what I have for you guys today on CEI stock. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Other than that, guys, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.